Before humanity ever invented the telescope, some ancient civilizations already seemed to know the pathways of the stars. Not in dreams, not through imagination, but etched into deserts, carved deep within jungles, built into stone. Maps of the cosmos so precise they still challenge modern understanding. Who guided them? And why were they so obsessed with tracing the sky? In the dry plateaus of Peru, the vast Nazca Lines stretch across the desert like astronomical coordinates, visible only from high above, as if they were drawn for something or someone watching from the heavens. In the heart of Egypt's temples, carvings speak of the boat of the stars, aligned with shocking precision to Orion's belt and the rising of Sirius. Not random art, celestial geometry in stone, and on the steep steps of Mayan temples, beneath golden masks and sacred rituals, they encoded secrets of planetary cycles, cosmic time resets, and the rhythm of the universe itself. These civilizations had no satellites, no radars, no supercomputers, yet what they left behind feels more symbolic, more philosophically profound than most of our modern star maps. So here's the question. Why did so many ancient cultures obsess over aligning with the sky? Were these star charts really for watching the heavens, or were they for something else entirely? Are the Nazca Lines maps, or gateways? What did the Maya truly predict with their great planetary reset? And were Egypt's pyramids aligned with the stars to welcome something back? In this episode, we're not here to chase conspiracies, we're not here to hype alien theories. We're here to dive deep into a wisdom the modern world has nearly forgotten. A way of seeing the sky not just as distant lights, but as a mirror of the soul. A celestial guide through the journey of life itself. Maybe the point isn't to understand the stars, but to understand why, from the very beginning, human beings have looked up at them with such devotion. We'll travel across 3 ancient worlds. We'll decode the star maps carved into sacred ruins. We'll peel back the layers of myth, symbol, and line, and search for that path between the earth and the eternal. So, are you ready to step into the map? Because this isn't just a story about charts and coordinates, it's a call to remember. A call to remember where we came from and where we might still be going. The ancients didn't just look up at the stars to navigate, they did it to return home. To them, the stars above weren't decorations, they were a language, a code, the eyes of the divine. The sky wasn't a chaotic cosmos, it was a mirror, one with perfect order reflecting the journey of the soul. High in the Nazca Plateau, across the Peruvian desert, massive geoglyphs of monkeys, hummingbirds, spiders, and straight, endless lines stretch over the sand, hidden for over 1,000 years by wind and time. No one truly saw them again until the 20th century, when aircraft flew overhead, and revealed that these figures could only be seen from the sky. So, who were they made for? And why are they only readable from above? In Egypt, nearly every sacred site, from the pyramids to the Temple of Osiris, is aligned with surgical precision to specific stars, the belt of Orion, the rising of Sirius, the flow of the Milky Way. To the ancient Egyptians, the heavens were a twofold shore, and death wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a soul's voyage, a starbound crossing back to its origin. Deep in the jungles of Mesoamerica, the Maya built stone observatories, wrote celestial codices, tracked the cycles of Venus and Mars, and created a calendar more precise than the one we use today. To them, each planet was a living deity, its motion a reflection of divine will, the cosmos itself, a sacred text in motion. 3 cultures, 3 regions, 3 seemingly unrelated paths, and yet they all looked to the stars as the source of all wisdom. They all etched the heavens into the earth. Why? One perspective suggests this. Ancient people possessed what we might call a holistic consciousness. They didn't split the world into science and spirit, astronomy and religion, logic and myth. To them it was all one web, one living field of vibration. And these star maps they left behind, they weren't just pretty patterns. They were traces, clues, maps that speak across time to say, you are not isolated, you are a point within the universe, and the stars are your coordinates. In esoteric traditions, the stars are never just passive light in the sky, they are alive. They have consciousness, intention, and will. Each one is like a lighthouse, emitting signals through time, calling us towards something. And we, as part of that same map, are constantly responding to those signals, whether we realize it or not. So perhaps these ancient maps were not just visual charts of the night sky, but symbolic blueprints of another realm altogether. As Plato once wrote in the Timaeus, the soul of the world is woven into the geometry of the universe. The stars don't just mark time, they shape consciousness. And here's the most provocative idea. These maps weren't meant to help us find new worlds. They were made to help us remember the old one. A true star map doesn't tell you where to go. It reminds you where you came from. But here's the real question. Do we still remember how to read them? Could the Nazca Lines be a two-dimensional projection of something multidimensional? Was the boat of the star gods in Egyptian carvings not a myth, but a vessel of consciousness? Did the Venus cycle recorded by the Maya contain a code to unlock a portal of some kind? In the next chapter, we'll begin decoding the star language of these three ancient worlds, not through science, but through symbolism. Because in a true sacred map, the paths are invisible, the coordinates are symbolic, and the passport is your awareness. Let's begin with Nazca. In the deserts of southern Peru, enormous, precise geoglyphs lie carved into the earth, not as art and not as simple ritual symbols, but as messages that seem to transcend the human scale. Some stretch hundreds of meters across, with lines so straight they slice through hills and valleys as if drawn by light itself. And the most astonishing part, many of these figures can never be fully seen unless you're in the air looking down from above. This isn't traditional design, it's a message meant for a higher vantage point, an expression that only makes sense when read from the sky. In esoteric traditions, this is known as transmission from above, a way of encoding information not for the human eye, but for something watching from beyond. Some researchers point out that one Nazca line aligns perfectly with the rising sun on the winter solstice. Another, a direct match to the angle of Orion's belt, a constellation associated across many cultures with the descent of gods. Others go further still, linking these alignments to the Stargate theory, proposing that these massive glyphs were anchors for interstellar communication. And the monkey with its spiral tail, is it a symbol of the Milky Way's galactic arm, the spider and eight-legged echo of Orion's structure? These aren't wild guesses. They're resonance patterns found again and again across cultures. The ancients brought the sky down to earth, mirroring the constellations in stone. Now let's shift to Egypt. Next to the Great Pyramid of Khufu lies a lesser-known chamber, the star room in the Book of the Dead. There, the gods sail across the night sky, navigating a celestial river in the boat of stars. At first glance, this may seem like myth, but when we examine it alongside the astronomical alignment of Egypt's sacred sites, a more complex pattern emerges, a deliberate synchronization between earth and sky. Most famously, the layout of the three pyramids at Giza matches almost exactly the three stars of Orion's belt. Even their size and spacing fall within the margin of astronomical error. This wasn't just symbolism, it was replication, a terrestrial installation mimicking the structure of the heavens. And inside the Great Pyramid, those so-called air shafts, they aren't ventilation, they point directly towards Sirius and Orion's rising positions, not for breath, but for ascent. Portals through which the soul could rise, returning to the stars. In Egyptian mystery schools, death was called the westward journey, a passage of the soul aboard the boat of light sailing through the river of purification. The Milky Way was that river, the stars, the crossings, and the pyramids, lighthouses, showing the way home. They weren't studying the stars, they were building a way to return to them. Now, to the Maya. Unlike Nazca or Egypt, the Maya left no massive glyphs or pyramid shafts. Instead, they built something even more intricate, a map of time. Their star calendars were not mere schedules, but instruments for aligning behavior and consciousness. Their Tzolk'in calendar of 260 days and the Harb calendar of 365 formed a system that synchronized earthly life with cosmic rhythm. And their understanding of Venus was staggering. They knew its retrograde cycles, disappearances and reappearances with near-modern accuracy. Each phase wasn't just an astronomical event, it was interpreted as a divine message. To the Maya, Venus wasn't a planet, it was a messenger, a traveler from another world. Their temples often faced the exact point of Venus's rising or vanishing, as if greeting, welcoming, or bidding farewell to an arriving intelligence. If the Nazca Lines are the map and the pyramids are the entry point, then the Mayan star calendars are the itinerary. Each system, Nazca, Egyptian and Mayan, may seem isolated, but together they form a larger puzzle, pieces of a lost stellar coordinate system that points not to a place, but to a pathway. So here's the question. Who were these maps meant for navigation or for invocation? Or perhaps to help us remember where we came from? These symbols, myths and cycles may not have been written to predict the future, but to help us remember the origin point, the soul's original alignment, and that's the true purpose of a star map. It's not a tool for measuring space, it's a ritual for locating consciousness. Star maps were never made for the eyes alone, they speak to another sense, a kind of inner perception we've barely begun to awaken, a way of seeing through meaning through symbols, geometry, rhythm and resonance. In this part, we move beyond the surface of the maps, beyond their lines and shapes, and enter the realm of what they truly represent. Let's return to the Nazca Lines. In esoteric philosophy, a line is more than a mark, it's a path of consciousness. A straight line represents intention, light, and the projection of will from one point to another. A spiral? It speaks of time, of evolution, dissolution, and rebirth. So maybe the Nazca Lines were never meant to guide travelers, but to map a migration of awareness. Their intersections, divergences, and convergences form a hidden cartography of the soul's movement. Imagine seeing them not with the eyes of a tourist, but as a hawk in meditation, rising above the desert, watching the journey of consciousness across dimensions. These symbols may not have been created for gods, but for future initiates, for those who one day would remember how to read them. And in the Egyptian tradition, the map isn't just drawn on the ground, it's written on the body. Earlier we explored the pyramid's narrow shafts, but did you know that in certain mystery schools the human body itself was seen as a living pyramid? 7 chakras, 7 gates, and the soul? It must rise step by step, passing through each gate to reach the stargate at the crown. The pyramid's very shape is considered a compressed model of the path of light, a wide material base narrowing upward toward a single point of divine perception. That's why, in Egyptian symbology, the boat of the stars isn't just about gods in the sky, it's about the soul's internal journey through the temple of the body. Suddenly, their obsession with the stars makes sense. The heavens were mirrors, the outer sky reflected the inner ascent. The rising of Sirius wasn't just astronomy, it was a cosmic bell realigning the heart chakra to the frequency of the divine. Every Venus retrograde was not a disruption, but a sacred metaphor, the dark night traveler descending into the subconscious labyrinth. Now turn to the Maya. Their star maps didn't use pyramids or stone lines. They built something else entirely, a clock of consciousness. The 260-day Tzolk'in calendar aligned 13 celestial tones with 20 solar glyphs. This wasn't a calendar to count time. It was a ritual to tune human awareness to the beat of the cosmos. Modern psychology speaks of subconscious time perception. The Maya, they had already tuned it, consciously and mathematically, to the movements of the stars. Your birth date placed you inside a living rhythm. Your daily actions echoed with cosmic resonance. You weren't just in the universe, you were part of its music. This sensitivity to frequency is the root of what we now call astrology, human design, even soul path readings. But to the ancient Maya, this was never commodified, it was sacred science. And when we begin to look at the 3 civilizations together, a higher pattern begins to reveal itself. These maps weren't pointing toward outer space, they were opening the door to inner space. They never truly disappeared because they never belonged to time. They belonged to memory. Memory of what? Of who we are, where we came from, where we're meant to return. Ask yourself, why has humanity always been so obsessed with the stars? Is it because our bodies are made from stardust, or is it because we carry the echo of an unfinished journey? Maybe the answer isn't light years away. Maybe it's right here in a carved wall, a spiral line, a string of numbers, and all waiting for the right consciousness to unlock them, like keys waiting for their door. Once you begin to truly look, you'll realize these symbols have always been speaking to you. They never stopped. We simply forgot how to listen. Some may ask, these ancient star maps are mysterious, sure. But what do they actually do for my life today? It's a fair question. But to truly answer it, we have to change how we think about tools. Astrological charts, the Nazca Lines, Egyptian murals, the Mayan calendar, they weren't created to make us better analysts, but better perceivers. The real power of these maps isn't in the data they hold, it's in the states of consciousness they awaken. So how can modern people work with these ancient star maps right now in daily life? Let's explore 5 approaches. 1. Reconnecting with cosmic awareness through the map. Try this. Don't just look at the map, let the map look at you. Choose a star chart or sacred image you resonate with. It could be a Mayan glyph, an Egyptian mural, or a fragment from an old astronomical manuscript. Place it before you. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Open your eyes slowly and ask, which part of this image feels like it's watching me? What you'll notice might surprise you. The image begins to come alive. Why? Because you've activated your symbolic perception. You're no longer thinking about it. You're feeling it through what mystics call symbolic intuition. In that moment, the image is no longer just a picture. It becomes a mirror, reflecting the architecture of your own awareness. 2. Restructuring your daily rhythm with sacred time. Modern time is linear. 9 a.m. equals work, 12 p.m. equals lunch, 5 p.m. equals done. Repeat. But the Mayans followed rhythmic time, time that breathes. Try organizing your day based on the Tzolk'in calendar. You can easily find your Mayan galactic signature online, like red serpent, blue night, or white mirror. Each day also carries its own archetypal energy. You don't need to believe in it, you just need to reference it. For example, if today is a white wizard day, it's about discipline and inner mastery. Just keeping that in mind creates subtle coherence. This isn't superstition, it's training your mind to move in rhythm with something greater. Soon, life stops feeling random and starts to pulse. You develop a felt sense of when to act and when not to. That's the practical layer of ancient star maps, not to predict the future, but to help you live more fully in the now. 3. Creating your own consciousness map. The most powerful star map isn't in the sky, it's within you. Try this. Use symbols to draw your own map of consciousness. Start with a symbol for your primal self, maybe a snake, an eagle, or water. Then add a symbol for your inner sun, your guiding force, maybe a pyramid, a beam of light, or a circle. Finally, choose a symbol for your soul's stargate, like an eye, a doorway, or a star. Draw them on a page. It doesn't have to be perfect, just true. This is your sacred interface, a direct connection to your higher self. You can meditate with it, gaze at it, ask it questions. Let the inner responses arise as images, emotions, or memories. You'll realize you're not drawing the map is awakening you. 4. Training symbolic cognition. Symbolic thinking is a secret doorway to the spiritual dimension. Pick one sacred image a day, an Egyptian god, a Nazca glyph, a Mayan mandala. Ask yourself, if this were a stage in my life, what would it mean? What part of my inner world does this reflect? Does it remind me of anything from my dreams? Do this regularly, and your perception starts to change. You'll begin to feel the language of dreams, myths, and the cosmos. What you're reclaiming is something school forgot to teach you, an intelligence that is intuitive, symbolic, and whole, not just analytical, categorical, or dissecting. This is how ancient mystics read the world, not through labels, but through living metaphor. 5. The most important reminder. These exercises aren't about finding the right answers. They're about helping you reconnect with your inner map, the one your soul carried before you were born. What you're looking for is not some external secret issue, it's a forgotten sense of direction. These ancient star maps, they weren't drawn to decode the stars, they were drawn to lead you home. Amid all the symbols, maps, murals, and celestial alignments, what we've truly been searching for was never just an answer. It was a feeling of remembering. As if in some distant age you've already walked the Nazca Lines, gazed up at the star-painted ceilings of Egyptian temples, sat in stillness at dawn atop the steps of a Mayan shrine. Maybe these maps were never made for aliens. Maybe they were drawn for souls who forget. They weren't telling us where the universe is going. They were gently reminding us, you came from between the stars. The modern world gave us GPS, but somewhere along the way, we lost our inner North Star. What the ancients left behind wasn't a plan for escape. It was a guide for re-inhabiting the cosmos, for learning how to live again. not just on Earth, but in a more spacious, poetic kind of being. Because a star map doesn't just lead outward, it leads inward. Maybe the path we're meant to walk isn't written in the heavens, but rising like a spiral of light from deep within. And every time you look into those strange symbols and patterns, you're not studying, you're remembering. Remembering the part of you that once knew how to read the stars, how to listen to the wind, how to move in resonance with the universe. So, dear traveler, you don't need to become an astrology expert. You don't need to decode every ancient mural. All you need to do is this: stand still at the center of your own map and look up into the sky within. The way home has always been written there. What about you? Have you ever seen strange symbols in your dreams? Felt something ancient stir inside you, as if a memory you never knew you had began to wake up? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what the Nazca Lines, the pyramids, or the Mayan temples have whispered to you. And if this journey spoke to you, subscribe to the channel. We'll continue exploring forgotten wisdom, sleeping star maps, and the echoes of truths that travel across civilizations. Thank you for walking this far with me. May you find your way on the map written in your soul. Amen. Let it be so.